Good Thursday morning to you. So for 41 years, I lived in a beautiful place called Wisconsin, where the summers were gorgeous. It would get hot and very humid, and the winters were cold, very, very cold. I used to say that the extreme temperatures of Wisconsin, the summer heat and the winter cold, even and especially when it dipped to 30 below, would make me hardy. In fact, for the majority of my life, that's my claim, was that living in Wisconsin made me hardy, and that separated me from other people. If you're from the Midwest, or if you've ever lived in the upper Midwest, you know exactly what I'm talking about. After living here for a year, I started to joke, why do I care if I'm hardy? Because the mild temperatures are really quite delightful. Yesterday and this week, I've been joking with the staff, once again reminding myself that I'm not hardy anymore. After 3 years in Oregon, I don't like the cold of winter in Wisconsin. I don't like the Arctic air, even when they're having unseasonably warm temperatures in the month of November or early December. I like it here. I like the warmth that this provides. And I joked at staff this week that I've become Oregonian soft, and a true Oregonian at the staff meeting laughed and said, "Welcome to the club." So I hope that's not an offensive thing to say. I was thinking about this for our morning devotion, how perseverance develops within us, sometimes without us even realizing. It had me turn to Romans chapter 5. The entire book of Romans really is faith in one book. It's the comprehensive understanding of what it means to have faith. But specifically in chapter 4 and 5, Paul reminds us that faith is not about everything going the way we want it to be. And faith does not give us the luxury without suffering. In fact, in faith, we become ever more aware of the suffering of this world and in our own lives. But Paul in chapter 5 also reminds us that in that is a gift. In chapter 5, verses 3 to 5, it says, "Not only so, but we also glory in our suffering, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us." Now, I think we've all had that experience, right? Suffering produces perseverance. And if you're thinking about your life and you're thinking, I really never have had a hardship, that's pretty awesome. But this year alone has been a hardship. Think back to March. Think back to the level of anxiety and fear that existed with a disease that no one fully understood where it came from and what it would do to the human body. Here we are 9-10 months later, and in some ways we've become rather jaded to it. We take it for granted. We argue about its efficacy on our bodies and how people have virtually no symptoms and how people are near death. There's a reality that as a society, we have gained a level of perseverance because of the amount of suffering that has happened in this year. We may not realize it, we may not appreciate it, but it's there. And as people of faith, we should be ever more aware of that, because suffering does produce perseverance. And in perseverance, we find character. Think of all of the struggles that you've had in your life. Haven't they helped you to become who you are today? Maybe they've made you more compassionate, more patient. Maybe they've helped you to see people in a different way or to experience love from a perspective you never had before. I often think of this for my life. I hate the suffering that I've had, the hardships that I've had, the struggles that I've experienced. But I know in all of them, they've helped to shape me and form me. And God has been at work in all of them. Maybe that's the piece that makes me appreciate them more than anything, is the knowledge and the truth that God's at work in them. Isn't that the same for you? Sure, no one wants the hardship or the struggle. But seeing the beauty of God at work almost makes it worth it, doesn't it? That's character. It's the character of faith. It's the character of resilience that God embeds in us. It is actually God at work in us giving us that. Because on our own, I don't think any of us would do all that well. And character leads to hope. Hope is both something we hold on to and something that is given to us. It is both an internal understanding and trust in God and an external assurance that God is at work. It is the power of faith in our lives is to know the tangible presence of hope. And as Paul reminds us, hope does not put us to shame. We're not fools when we trust in our faith regardless of the struggle that might happen. We aren't fools when we say, Lord, I'm coming to you. Work this out. Help me to see this situation from a new way. We aren't fools when we don't have any answers, and yet the only answer is to go to God in prayer. Hope does not put us to shame. God does not call us fools, because God's love is in all of that. It has been poured out into our hearts. It fills us. It helps us to trust and to follow. It gives us peace that passes all understanding. Hope has been poured out into our hearts through the gift of the Holy Spirit, which is given to you and to me. Yesterday I mentioned holding out for hope, and I think today the focus is all about the power of hope in your life. It doesn't mean everything is going well in your life. And if you're having struggles, hold on to this. God's power of hope in your life has incredible opportunity. Scriptures tell us it can move mountains, it can quiet the seas, it can change you and me. It helps us to see God at work in ways we wouldn't see him otherwise. I think that's a great reminder for us today and in this year and in this season of Advent, as we wait with wonder and anticipation of all that God is doing in this world, and as he ushers us in to the year to come. Have a great day.